Good evening and welcome along to another live stream from Dundee United in FM21 with me, Daniel. Thank you to those of you already waiting. Thank you for the thumbs up already. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're all well and I hope you're looking forward to some pretty big games tonight. We've got our big Europa League playoff, which decides which European group stages we're going to be in this evening. We've got some more potential ins and outs in terms of the transfer news. Of course, we had some big news at the end of Saturday's stream if you missed that. We'll recap that before we start today. And we've also got to reflect on what was a very good start in the last episode, albeit against the weakest sides available. So thank you for everyone popping in. Thank you for being here already. It's lovely to have some of you waiting before we start. But today is all about big moments with Dundee United and making sure that we don't miss out on a great opportunity. A chance to reach the Europa League group stages and a chance to really push up in the Scottish Premiership and challenge the two old firm clubs immediately. El Gaming, good evening, welcome along. Thank you for being in as always. It's lovely to see some of the regulars in and it's lovely to have you waiting before we start. But we have got some big news. We've got to talk about it. Now, for those of you that were here at the end of Saturday, you'll probably know it. But for many of you, it will be something completely new and unsurprising. John, thank you for popping in. Lovely to have another regular in as well. Great to have you all here so early this evening. Let me just quickly recap that news from Saturday then as you're coming in. Just before, we've also had an offer for Dembele. That's been rejected. But just before we finished the stream last weekend, we had the return of Chris Mccrory. We took over his loan deal from Arsenal to Seattle and we've taken it over. And he is now going to be in at the club. So one of our big wingers, one of our quality players off the left. And it means that sort of backup of Duffy and Byrne we might be able to sell on now. Terry, good evening. Thank you for popping in. Greeny, same again. Thank you, pal. El Gaming, all caught up with Banging Out. Enjoyed the catch-up. Thank you. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate everyone supporting the series. I really do appreciate it. I'm loving both series this year. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've recorded today what will come out from tomorrow to Saturday. And there's some crackers in there. We've got 2 transfer specials just because of when the seasons end at the same time. So it's a big week on the channel this week. And we're growing really quickly still. So hopefully it goes down well. El Gaming, also that schedule thing is a joke. Yeah, a few of us have talked about it in the Discord earlier. Where you just get the odd time where you get back-to-back games a day after another. Unfortunately, it's something that, I know not day after day, but 2 days apart happens in real life. A day after each other. It happens occasionally in FM, but not as many as it used to. It used to be quite frequent, to be honest. But it's always going to happen in a computer game. It happens in FIFA, it happens in cricket games, it happens in all sorts. Greeny going for a Luton win tonight. I'm not, pal. I've gone for 0-0 because it is the safest score in the book with these two teams. Both lovely sides, play good football, can't score goals. The reverse fixture was 0-0 and I think there was 1 shot on target in the whole match. So I can't see anything else. I've gone for 0-0. I think Charlie went for a 1-0 Coventry win and Craig went for a 1-0 Luton win. So I don't think anyone's convinced there's going to be goals in this one. But thank you everyone coming in. Lovely to have you here already. Jake, another one. Thank you for popping in. I'm guessing you're going to be a little bit happier than you were for Saturday's stream. There's been some good news for your side since then, hasn't there? Greeny, how Luton didn't score Saturday's beyond me. You should never be surprised. I mean, let's be fair, the top goal scorer was sat on the bench for approximately 70 minutes of the game. When him and Adebayo were up front together, they looked good. The worry is, without Cornick, we don't have an outlet. We don't have a pace on the break. So, it's a hard balancing act because we haven't got a good enough defence with the 3 of the back 4 injured. I mean, Bree's the only one that's fit at the minute. That would be in the starting back 4. Lockyer's out, Bradley's out, and Potts is now out as well. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but he has to be a little bit more solid defensively and have that security of a Tunnicliffe or a Ray. And unfortunately, that means 1 less attacking player. But yeah, we are running out of defenders quickly now. But I'm not hugely surprised we haven't scored, to be honest, because it's something that we've come to expect. Jake, I think we'll go up now, hopefully. I mean, at the start of the season, I had you to finish second behind Hull. And I think when in the Lee Johnson Manager Special on the podcast, I think I said that he might take you up this year, albeit via the playoffs. But a lot of other sides have dropped very quickly. So he's the right manager. The only thing to worry about, obviously, is that the likes of Paul Cook's coming in at Ipswich, who's a quality manager. Hull are starting to run away now. Peterborough have looked good. So there's a lot of good sides in League One. It's such a strong division. Greeny, Lockyer back tonight? He's been called up by Wales, hasn't he? I believe so. It was sort of like at the weekend, it was 50-50 as to whether he'd be back today or the weekend. But if it is today, it would be great because Pearson obviously made the costly mistake at the weekend. And he's a decent backup. He's a utility man, can play across the four. But he's not a championship starting centre-half, unfortunately. As good a player as he is. Lockyer's just a class above. I'm sorry, I've got a problem with the alert box where I've just reset the settings. So they're going to pop up again. They're not new Super Chats. They're the same one from the other weekend. But unfortunately, they're going to pop up as I've reset the settings. But it is a chance for me to thank SOF and Josh for donating last week. It did make such a difference. But yeah, I think Lockyer is probably going to be the key man tonight. It allows Bree to play a bit more advanced. And it means we've got potentially not a left winger at centre-half. It's as simple as that, really. Because Cal Naismith, he's done really well there, but he's not a centre-half. It's as simple as that. You can get away with it for 1 or 2 games like we did, but it won't happen regularly. So we'll wait and see what happens on that front. But it could be worse, all things considered. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to have you all here. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. It does make such a difference. Come and get involved in the chat. Join in with the regulars as always. Jake, really strong teams. Quite a few with a tough run, including us. With 3 games in hand on Hull. And exactly, that doesn't mean as much this season. Because we talked about it with the National League on Saturday's stream. There's teams that have got 4 games in hand there. But all that means, and the same as Rotherham at the bottom of the Championship, they're the only team that are going to be playing twice a week, every week after the international break. While most teams are playing once a week for the majority. That's going to make such a difference in the running. You're basically adding in an extra 4 midweeks that you would have been training, that you would have been recovering. So it might not mean as much this season. I think you'd rather have the points on the board, even if it is a lot of games in hand. The teams that are probably in the best position are the teams that have got 1 game in hand, because they can make up the points and they haven't got to play every midweek. But that's my fear with like Rotherham in the Championship though. Let's go and get into the first game, though, as most of the regulars are in now. Greeny, you're too nice to me, pal. You don't have to do that. Thank you for that. It is much appreciated. It all does make a difference. I'm not going asking for it, but it is much appreciated. So thank you for that. It is much appreciated, pal. And I'm glad you're all enjoying it. I appreciate you coming in. So thank you for the incredible support, as always. And, of course, you get your lovely little animation at the top of the screen, which 2 weeks ago didn't exist. So me, as you and many of my regulars will know, I'm not a technological man. So having the regulars in that are able to support and bear with me as I gradually move into the 21st century, it is of course appreciated. But let's go and get into the Dundee United game, because if we don't, we're going to be in a spot of bother, I feel. We have to win this tie. It doesn't matter how it happens. It doesn't matter what the result is. It doesn't matter how fluent the football is. But we have to win. And over 2 legs, it's important that we've got an away goal in this one, because I don't trust us to keep clean sheets. That's what I'm paying the money for, that animation. Moving up in the world, didn't we? Who would have thought that? I could barely get the game to run at the start of this channel. And now, we've got animations and all sorts. It's the animated version of me from when I was athletic, rather than the slight gut on us now. But in terms of this tie, we've got to get through it. I really do appreciate the support, but if we don't get through with Dundee United, we could well be at risk of the sack by the end of this episode and be looking for a new job rather than floating along. So I've put together what I think is my first 11. The only iffy part is possibly Mallon in for either McCann or for O'Reilly. But if you remember the last episode on Saturday, O'Reilly started the season on fire. Top scorer with 4 goals and looks a monster from the number 10 role. So we've gone for Segrist in goal, who is somehow still the number 1. Mitchell and Brook in the fullbacks with Mengi and Finlay at centre-half. McCann and Robertson in midfield. Dembele, O'Reilly and Mccrory on the wings. Or in the attacking midfield, 3 even. And Lawrence Shankland up front. But we've got Mikey Johnston on the bench. Stevie Mallon. Holsgrove, who's signing. Darren Watson, the youngster who's free scoring. There's a lot of quality in this squad. So I'm hoping that will have a positive effect. We give Chris Mockery a number. What a game it is to return for. And we head to Belgium, desperately looking for an away goal. So thank you to everyone coming and getting involved. Lovely to be in double figures already. Please do come and get involved in the chat. Let us know who your team's playing this midweek. Of course, we've got Coventry tonight in what will certainly be a 0-0 draw. So hopefully your games will be more exciting and you're looking forward to them a bit more. Quick thanks again to Greeny for the super chat. Does make such a difference. Thank you for coming and getting involved. And hopefully we've got a positive result to follow it now. Now this guy, who's got a very difficult to pronounce name, Fedaxi, he is a quality attacking midfielder. He is a bordering on wonder kid level. And he's very highly rated by the scouts in the match preview. He's rated as the key player by the media at the club. If we go and have a quick look at him, he is very high quality. He's worth £19 million on 18.5 grand a week. He's actually at Ghent in real life in the start of the save, but he's a different level, a different stratosphere to the players we've got. So with 5 minutes gone, we're trying to get the away goal, but we know he's going to be a proper threat for us for the most part today. So it's just trying to avoid the inevitable, really. We would have probably preferred Olympiacos, who we beat last year to get to the groups, but we know it can go wrong against any opposition. We saw that against Shamrock Rovers last year, where it all fell apart in the knockout. But with 26 minutes gone, the fact we've seen no highlight is probably a good thing. Mitchell picks it up on the left-hand side, and unless we see the better, especially if we can nick an away goal here, Mitchell gets to the byline, cuts it back to Robertson, into Mccrory! Oh, first game back, hits the post. Could have been an instant hero again. But unfortunately, it just wasn't to be. And we stay at 0-0. It's such a shame. It was a great chance, but it wasn't to be on this occasion. Another throw on the left-hand side, though. Thank you to everyone coming in. Please do come and get involved in the chat. It's always good to talk football and nonsense, just to take the mind off the real world at the minute. As we're defending the goal kick long. Finley heads it away. Then Dembele can't get there, though. And the left-back picks it up. Finds Nakamba in the middle. That's the former Aston Villa man. To the Wild on the left-hand side. They're playing some good football. They've got a lot of good technical players here, Belgium. As you'd expect in European football. And here's the number 10 we talked about. He has just skinned 3 players and put it over Segrist. That's the difference in quality. It's been a nothing half of football. There's been no real chances. And then that comes along. 1 chance, 1 goal, and now we get the warning to close him down. It's a little bit late for that, isn't it, assistant? Robertson puts the set piece in, though, and Stuart Finley wins the header. And there is the away goal. It's not quite as classy as the one that they scored. It's not got quite as much technical flair. But it's one hell of a goal, isn't it? It still counts as 1. And Stuart Finley with a bullet header from 6 yards makes it Ghent 1, Dundee United 1. A great opportunity now to get in the ascendancy before the home leg. We'd probably take this result, but I wouldn't mind nicking a winner, or nicking a second at least, as Finley plays out from the back. He's got time on the ball, doesn't want to get caught out, goes to Mccrory on the left. He's got a lot of talent of his own, by the way, so Mitchell finds him with a 1-2. Can he compete with the Georgian number 10? Oh, he can! Is that not offsides? It's not given. The ball into the back post from Mccrory. O'Reilly heads it against the crossbar. We've seen how much of a threat he is this season already in that position. It drops down to Shankland on the line. I was certain he was offside. But nothing's given in the end. And as it stands, we've survived it. And it's 2-1 to Dundee United. The away goal makes the world of difference. As De Wild gets in at the other end. We don't want an equaliser straight away. It's back to the left, back into the box. And he looked offside as well. But nothing given. Hull Saga equalises. And with 5 gone in the second half. After 3 clean sheets to start the season, our defensive frailties are coming flying back. And unfortunately, we've conceded 2. Benji Segrist got the worst rating on the pitch. And we've got a free kick with Robertson into the box. He's done it again. Stuart Finley has got a brace in Europe. Absolutely incredible. Who would have seen that coming? What a ridiculous goal. What a ridiculous game. And it is already a very different occasion to what we had last time. Thank you to everybody coming in. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Come and get involved in the chat. Thank you to Greeny for the donation as well. Much appreciated. As we're trying to cling on and give ourselves an advantage in Europe. It's something that could be very special tonight. And we've just got to hope that we can hold on. If we can get this result ahead of the home leg, I'll be very confident that we can get through to the knockout round. So the group stages, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. 15 minutes left on the clock. I've got to make changes. Who's it going to be? That's the question. Mccrory's making his debut, or his second debut, so we should probably give him a rest. Mallon's going to come on for McCann, who's not had the best game, been solid enough. Dembele on the right, replaced by Darren Watson. And Mccrory on the left, replaced by Mikey Johnston. 15 minutes left. 3-2 would be an unbelievable result. Now, can we hold on to it? That's the main question. I'm just hoping so. I'm really hoping so. 4 minutes left to go. 3-2 to Dundee United. We're going to drop to balance and try and cling on for the result. As Brooking comes in from the right-hand side. O'Reilly flicks on. De Vos heads away. Mallon tries to get there. Just about wins it. Nearly gives it away again, but Mengi gets it to Watson. A fourth would be dreamland. Watson comes forward to Mallon. To Mikey Johnston, 25 yards out. Switches right to Brooking, the overlapping fullback. 4 in the middle. Back to Stevie Mallon. On the volley, just wide. I think it was high as well. It was a good effort, but it wasn't to be. It remains 3-2. It's a wonderful effort, and unfortunately, it's not going to be more than that. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to have you here this evening. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all enjoying the stream. And I hope you're enjoying Dundee United's fantastic victory on the road in Europe. It really is an important occasion for us. And I think that's about the best we could have hoped for. We were always going to concede to the individual brilliance of the Georgian number 10. Okay, the second goal wasn't great. But 3 away goals and a lead for the second leg at home. It's the most we could have possibly asked for. Lovely to have all the regulars in already as well. It does make a big difference on evenings like this. We will be wrapped up before 7 o'clock because the Luton game's been moved to an early kickoff. As so many of the Championship and EFL games are at the moment. They're just sort of spread out a bit, aren't they? But that's about the perfect start. Stuart Finley, the unlikely hero in front of goal. Wasn't even first choice last year, really, until we got the injury to Jason Kerr. But it's the perfect start to the stream. We've got to rotate a bit for Dunfermline ahead of the second leg. And then Celtic is the big one after transfer deadline day. So we'll get up to the international break this evening. And hopefully we'll be raring to go after that. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to be in double figures at this stage on a Tuesday evening. I know a lot of people are gradually back to work now or working the normal hours again. So it does make a difference. I know schools and colleges and things like that are coming back too. So to have you here, it is greatly appreciated. Let's see who we can make available for the reserves. I'm trying to balance it out as much as possible. But equally, I don't want to lose players that I might need at the weekend. So that's where the sort of quandary is here. I'm still trying to sign another winger so I can sell both Duffy and Byrne, the 2 injury-prone Irishmen, who are 4th and 5th choice now. But there don't really seem to be any great players forthcoming. I mean, we've scouted some, we've had a look at some on the reports. There's quite a few being looked at here, but I think the only realistic one is Paul Smith, who's transfer listed by Hibs. I don't know what he's actually wanted for. He's worth 800 grand. See, he said about 400 grand the other week, and now it's gone down again. He would be a cheap solution in terms of wages. And he is versatile, but I don't know that that's the answer I want. But I don't really know if we've got any other options that are good enough, to be brutally honest, looking at the list. So that's the only area where I'm a little bit concerned. There's always the pain with the transfer windows. It's just trying to make it up like that. I can't see any better prospects. I really can't. So I think we have to stick with the ones we've gone for. And just hope that something comes out of somewhere. Because there really isn't much promise there. And I don't want to just buy players for the sake of it. Or loan players in that are going to sit on the bench. I want it to be ones that are going to improve the squad. That are going to be useful. But I don't see how that happens at the minute. And we've of course got the second problem, which is we played Dunfermline at the weekend. And although it's potentially a very good game for us, a very important one, we've got to rest people because Ghent and get into the group stages of the Europa League, financially, it's basically doubling our money. And obviously it means if we do fail in the top 2 or get a difficult draw, we've still got an extra opportunity to fall into the Europa Conference knockout rounds. So that's some things we've got to bear in mind as well. But a very fun evening. A lot to look forward to. And it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? It's who are we going to rest for Europe? How are we going to continue to try and press the old firm in the league? I'll be interested to see who does the better out of Rangers and Celtic this year. Rangers looked more convincing at the start. Of course, they won it the first 2 years. Celtic came back last season. And they've both got very winnable games this evening. So let's see who's on top after that. Are either of them going to overtake us? And by how many is the question, particularly goal difference wise. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Lovely to have you here this evening. I know sort of like the weekend ones where it gets busier from 11. And as people are going back to work now, these ones are sort of getting busier from 6. Rangers and Celtic both won comfortably. I've got to show you this guy as well, Tony Weston. If you follow the head coach, you'll remember we had him at Hibs on loan. And he wasn't great. He was like 5th or 6th choice. But here at 19, he's worth 13 million. He's on 35 grand a week and he's a wonder kid. He is at Rangers in real life at the start of the save, on loan at Falkirk. But he's become an absolute machine in this game. So just in comparison to the head coach, very different. But then in the head coach, we had Finn Malcolm banging goals in the SPL. And here, we've had to get rid of him on the cheap because he wasn't developing. So it's quite an interesting one. We're still trying to get fitness into some of the boys. We're still trying to get moving along. And hopefully, we'll be able to keep things going nicely. We've just got to keep the results flowing. That's the main thing at the moment. Thank you to everyone that's contributed to the live chat as well. It does make such a difference. It's lovely to have you all along and talking football. Of course, it was nice to see that Sunderland got their trophy or ended their Wembley hoodoo on Sunday. I did predict the Salford game perfectly. Sorry, the Portsmouth-Salford one. I got the exact outcome and how it was going to happen. And the other one wasn't too bad either. So it does make a difference trying to do the predictions on a podcast. Gives us more to fight about when we're doing it as well. Right, we're almost at the Dunfermline game now. Let's see who's fit, who we're going to have to rest and who we decide to rest. I've just seen Jake Kane in there, people to be closing down as well. And that's going to make a big difference too. Because he was a quality player for us at Cliftonville last year. Let's have a look, shall we? So everyone's technically match fit. And bar McCann, they've all got a light match load because they had a week off before. So I might just bring Stevie Mallon in to centre midfield. And aside from that, I think we can leave everyone in, sorry. It's quite a nice position to be in. So I'm going to leave the 18 as it is there. We're going to get into it. Only one change required. And hopefully a positive outcome still. So let me know what you think. I think we're going as strong as possible. So hopefully that means we'll be able to get the result. And it will make a massive difference to us moving forward if we can get that positive start against these opposition and keep it going. What's going on with the dressing room there? All of the colour in the room's gone. Of course, there was a new update today, so it might be that. But I've played lots of games and don't remember seeing this. So there's a unique one. There you go. It's back to normal now. A bizarre start to the match, if nothing else. The Dunfermline ground looking lovely though. We're into the first half here with Dundee United. And we're looking to continue the perfect start. To catch up with Rangers and Celtic. Hopefully catch Celtic on goal difference too. And get up and split the old firm. That's what we're looking for moving forward. And as we go down early on, it's Akinola, one of our former heroes from the head coach. Gives it away though. Brookin picks it up to Mallon. The one change for today. Finds Robertson to Mccrory. We've really got a fluent side now. Good players in every position. And I'm hoping it will show in the performances. As Robertson goes right to Dembele. Lovely ball to Mallon. Back to Mitchell. Beats the slide tackle. O'Reilly to Mccrory to Shankland. And it's in for 1-0. That is a lovely goal. Wonderful flowing football. Beautiful movement. And it's going to be an absolutely fantastic season if we keep playing like this. Could not be happier with the start to the match. And we lead 1-0. We've not long gone at all. As it's a long goal kick forward by Dunfermline. Flicked on by Thomas. Mallon gets it wide to Dembele as we continue to try and push forward. Dembele down the right wing goes for the shot. We have mentioned before his shooting accuracy isn't the best. But he's done pretty well. We can't blame him really. He's been a very good player for us. He's been a good signing since he's been fit again. And it's just about keeping him fit and keeping him in form and hoping he crosses more rather than shooting. 10 minutes to the break though. It's only 1-0, so we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But it has been a good performance so far. And then the injury comes. It was never going to be long, was it? We tried to give McCann a rest. We get the injury like that. And now we've got a decision to make. What do we do in terms of the squad selection? Who do we take off? Who do we bring on? Oh, it's not what we needed at this point. It really isn't. So, I think we're going to go for... I'm going to have to bring McCann back on, aren't I? I could go Holsgrove and drop O'Reilly, but I don't really want to do that at the moment. So we're going to go McCann. We're back to our starting partnership, I guess, in the middle. It's technically strengthening the team, but it's not going to help McCann for Thursday night. And that's obviously our most important game at the moment. But we do still lead at half-time. It's still a good performance. So we're going to tell the lads to keep it going, to try and do as well as they can. And hopefully that will show. As they've got a throw-in on the right-hand side with Lewis. Well headed away by Finlay. Using his aerial ability to affect at the other end after his goals in midweek. Mccrory finds Shankland, who's drifted left. Into the box now. He's got pressure on him. And he's beaten with a brilliant challenge by Thompson. Long clearance forward finds Mitchell. On halfway. Puts it forward to Robertson. To Mccrory. Robertson again back to Mitchell. Through ball towards Shankland. He's in one-on-one. And Shankland off the post. It's disallowed. It was a lovely move again. It was a really good finish. But it means nothing. The assistant referee's flags up. And it stays 1-0. And 1-0 only. And with 10 minutes gone in the second half, it remains like that. I think we're going to have to make some changes. O'Reilly's had his first average game of the season. So Jordan Holsgrove will come on for him. Just gradually bedding them into the team. And then the last one will be an attacking change. It's just who comes on and who goes off. I think because of the injury past, it will be Dembele. Although Finlay Robertson looks knackered and I haven't got a centre mid to come on for him. I could drop Mccrory in, to be fair. Kane picks the ball up in the middle. We've got defending first. Thomas has beaten us with a run. And we've got away with one there. So I am going to do that actually. Mccrory drops into the deep line playmaker role. And on the left wing, Mikey Johnston comes on. Just over 15 to go. We need to keep the legs fresh. And hopefully that will show in the result. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Lovely to have you all along as always. Come and get involved in the chat. Let us know what you think of some of the bizarre situations in the EFL with managers this week. Especially the Birmingham one. I mean, we did a podcast on it, but Karanka left his role, supposedly, was announced in the media. Lee Bowyer then left his and his favourite for the Birmingham role. Charlton confirmed that that's happened, and Birmingham haven't announced anything, despite having a game this evening. It's bizarre. Really is bizarre. Or tomorrow, sorry. As Holgrove gives it to McCann. Back into Mccrory. Switches right to Brookin. He gets into the box. Tries to get the crossing, goes back to Mccrory. Great touchdown to Tyrick Mitchell. Thought he was going to shoot for a minute there. Mitchell beats the fullback into Johnston. And he's got his first goal for Dundee United. Wraps up the game in stoppage time. And Mikey Johnston becoming absolutely crucial to this side. A wonderful first goal for the club. And an excellent moment for Dundee United. The perfect run continues. And on goals scored, we actually go top of the SPL, I think, above Rangers. That won't last. But given Celtic's really dodgy summer so far, I'd like to give them a challenge this season. That's not going to help. Malin out for 3 weeks, but should only be one game plus the internationals. And we are in pretty decent shape at the moment. So good news so far. Everything's looking lovely. And it's another good win. More new signings contributing. Everything else looking great. Carl, thank you for popping in. Lovely to have you along. Nice to have all the regulars in again. I think I've missed the last season. So we finished third. We got knocked out rather embarrassingly in the first Europa Conference knockout against Shamrock Rovers. We lost the Scottish Cup final. But we did push Rangers all the way for second and didn't quite make it. So it was an interesting season. But this year I'm really hopeful. We've signed some good players. We've really brought in some quality to the side. So Mikey Johnston from Celtic. He was a backup there. Finlay Robertson on loan from Rangers. Josh Brookin instead of Matheson at right back from Chelsea. And Chris Mccrory got sold off in January for big money. He got loaned then to Seattle in the MLS. And now we've taken over the loan. So, interesting stuff going on. It's a little bit chaotic, but we're getting there gradually. So thank you for joining in as always. Lovely to see so many of the regulars in the chat, particularly on the Tuesday nights. We don't really find many new faces in the week. It's more normally the regulars popping in. So good to have you along. Lovely to get Mikey Johnston a first goal for the club. And now we've just got to complete the job in the Europa League. Get to the group stages and we can start to focus on the league and see which one becomes more important and a better priority. So Gavin White, he must be first team there. I don't think we're going to be able to pay 6 to 7 million for him. The same for this guy at Ostend. Looks a lovely player. And would heavily improve the squad, but it would be every bit of our bank balance and all of our wage budget. So I don't know that we can really prioritise that. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Darren Watson continuing to improve. That's a good thing to see. He's now our first backup up front. We're going to reject the offer for Dembele. I know he's going to come and cry to us in a minute, but he's got a contract with us, so he's going to be staying. That's what we're going to say on that front. We will be wrapped up for 7, as we mentioned earlier, because of course the Luton game's been moved to an earlier one, as many of the Championship games do now. But otherwise, all is looking pretty well. I found something that might be interesting. Our reserves game, the player of the match was Barry Mackay, who's at Hibernian Reserves and is a winger. He's not a great winger, but he might be my solution. So I'm going to go and scout him. He's played well in a reserves game, might deserve a chance, and might be a player that can be a good backup for us. And if he's cheaper than the other two, it means we can sell them on as well. Thank you for all the thumbs up on the video as well. We're almost at double figures. So if you haven't yet, please do chuck one on there. And come and get involved in the chat too. Plenty of football talk to be had. And it's always good fun. It's a bit light-hearted after all of the serious stuff going on at the minute. Let's have a quick look though at how we're going to pan out this week. Because we've got KA again in the second leg of Europe. But then 3 days later we've got Celtic. Now normally I would say let's get the job done in Europe. But with us being a goal up and 3 away goals, do I think about just trying to gamble slightly and rotating a little bit for this one? If there's any that are struggling physically a little bit. I don't know. And I will regret it if I do it. But I keep getting tempted. That's the problem. I tempt myself into silly decisions occasionally. So we'll try and avoid that on this occasion. But it is a massive game. If we get to the group stages, it's a guaranteed prize pot. I mean, we're going to go into the Europa Conference regardless. But the Europa League, a bigger competition, bigger reputation for the club, and better for Scottish football. I was just seeing who this winger was from Liverpool, because that might be a solution. But he's not good enough for us. Right, let's get through the winger scout reports. Paul Smith is a bit much in terms of money. But realistically, wage-wise, it's affordable. We could loan him, but I don't really then want to pay double the wage that he would be worth. But I think at the moment, as the future fee is optional, that might be our best option. So we're going to put that offer in. Otherwise, they all want extortionate money, or they're loanees from Premier League clubs on massive money, and we can't afford to double or triple a wage bill. Jack Taylor from Luton, they want £9 million. Otherwise, a good player. Oh, it's transfer deadline day as well. Completely forgot that. Just a minor detail we've completely ignored there. Yeah, most of the others are too expensive. Carleton can't cross. Morgan, an extortionate transfer fee. Success, an extortionate wage fee. I think the only option is probably Paul Smith and then to sell the 2 Irish wingers. I think that's what we're at the moment. So if you think it's the right decision, let me know. Thank you for popping in as always. Lovely to have you along this evening. And I think we're going to have one deadline day signing. No obligation beyond the loan deal. But I think that's the work we're going to do today. Byrne and Duffy not wanted. So we're probably going to have to offer them out a bit later. I just want to make sure we get the other one done first. Because we don't want to leave ourselves short. And the problem with this European game is we can't register the other players for the squad. We won't be able to register Smith. So we've got to make sure we've still got 18 who are fit. Reading and Hibs have come in for Doyle Hayes. We did have a look at him in the summer, but wasn't quite right. And Paul Smith will be joining us. So only 9:45. He comes in and he's going to be an important part of the squad. Probably play more domestically than in Europe, or vice versa if we get an easy draw. But what that does mean is Duffy, who's worth £5 million, we're going to transfer list. And Jack Byrne, who is worth 1.5, we are also going to transfer list. Now, Duffy's the older one. He's less versatile. We'd probably, if anyone, lose him. Because Byrne can play number 10 or across the 3. But they're both injury prone. They're both not as good as the other 4 in their position. It makes sense, really. Tom, good evening. Welcome along. Thank you for popping in. Yes, Greeny has been generous. Appreciate it as always. Of course, all your support is incredible on the channel. Even those who come and get involved in the chat, chuck a thumbs up on the video, subscribe, have the notification bell on, who watch any of the short adverts, everything. It all makes a massive difference. So thank you to Greeny for the special donation, and thank you to everyone else for being part of the channel. It's always greatly appreciated. And Tom, lovely to see you in. Thank you for popping by. Let's have a look, though, at whether we've got any offers. None. And this is where it potentially goes wrong, isn't it? Because we've offered these players out, we've annoyed them, we've bought in a replacement and paid for it. But we're now not going to get rid of any of them. And we're going to be left with 6 in 4 positions. Hutchinson's a young centre-half who's not got the biggest potential. So I'm going to try and work this offer up a little bit. But I don't think we've got a big problem with it. So we're going to change the percentage of next sale to actual sale, not just profit. We're going to push the others up to 150, that to 400, and that's a cracking offer. 700 grand plus 25% of the next sale. We could not have asked for much more, I don't think. Let's have a little look at what's happening on deadline day. Of course, the fixture is going to be problematic for us, but I don't think we can use that as an excuse. Oh, they're talking about Ross Mccrory again. I really, really want to sign him. 5.75 million he's available for to a European club. He'd be the biggest earner at the club, but he's a wonderful player. So we might readdress this in the summer once Robertson goes back from his loan, because we then need to replace him. The same for Mccrory. But in terms of Byrne and Duffy, it was just about getting a sale, and it doesn't look like we're going to do that. We rejected £1.5 million earlier in the window for Byrne. It's going to be a huge regret moving forward. But for now, we can't complain too much. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Lovely to see more and more of you coming in. Just 50 minutes to go to the Luton game. It's going to be a big one this evening. And I'm sure it's going to be 0-0 based on the 2 sides that are playing. But of course, we'll try and be optimistic and hope we might get a goal. Adam Hutchinson is gone. 700 grand there. That is a big one for us, considering he wasn't even in the first team picture. I'm just interested as well. I don't know why I've responded to that saying we'd loan out Watson. I really don't want to do that. If we've got anyone in the 23s who might be worth looking at, or the reserves as it is in Scotland, I always say the 23s. Because it could potentially be a real big way for us to bolster the squad for Europe. We've just got 1 or 2 who are good enough. So, Nathan Cooney, I think he's out of contract, isn't he? He is. He's wanted. We're only keeping him really so we get the compensation, but it doesn't look good. Jack Newman's another goalkeeper. We're going to have one last go at getting rid of Baxter, whether it be on loan or via transfer. So let's offer him as transfer listed. And we'll offer him out on loan as well. But I think we're just going to have a little bit of excess in the squad, which is the problem. Graham Gebby is a promising centre-half. He looks good, actually. He's the one they signed from Hearts, isn't he? For 50 grand. We got him in the summer. He looks a good prospect. So we might give him a little go on the bench in Europe. But otherwise, I don't think there's anyone else ready to step up at this stage. And there's not really anyone with massive potential in the reserves. In the 18s, we've got some with big potential. Or decent potential, but none with real quality. Mike McCord and Dale Pearce, Patterson, they might get the odd game on the bench, but I don't think they're going to set the world alight, I'm afraid. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty quiet and slightly frustrating transfer deadline day. But it's all going to be worthwhile if we get to the Europa League group stages, because that will fund 2 or 3 excess players we've got left in the squad. So nobody's coming in for Baxter. Nobody's made a big for Seagrass this time. And the situation with the 2 wingers is infuriating. The sale of promising youngsters caused problem with the fan base. Absolutely not. It was a brilliant deal. You seem to get every youngster you sell, regardless of how good they are or how much money you bring in. Here's a little bit of a frustration. In terms of deadline day as a whole, though, I'm just keeping an eye out, really, for what's happening across the league. Have Celtic tried the recovery at any point? It doesn't look like it today. It's been a very quiet week leading up to it, and then today it's just sort of been between the sides lower in the division. Nothing for Celtic, nothing for Rangers. I wonder if they're trying to do anything. No outs, no ins. That's odd, isn't it? Nothing really going on at Celtic or Rangers, so I think they're going to stick with what they've got. We'll see how the other Scottish sides are doing, whether any of them have made it into Europe, but it seems to be a very sort of stuck situation at the moment where Celtic aren't going to progress this year. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Lovely to have you all here as always. I know I always thank you for the support every 10 minutes or so, but it does amaze me. And I am always eternally grateful that you come and watch us for a little while. We have an offer. Nathan Baxter. Right, we're going to do the same. We're going to change the profit to the percentage of next sale. We're going to try and edge that up to 50 grand. And we're going to try and edge that up to 1. I'm not asking a lot of money. And they've accepted it. So we had to be a little bit cautious because we didn't want him stuck here. But for over 6 grand a week off the wage bill, I think he might have been our second highest earner, you know. So of our permanent players, he was the second highest. And in the whole squad, he's 4th. So it's a big one to get off the wage bill. More important probably than Byrne and Duffy. Although if we could get a sale for one of those, it doesn't matter which one, it would be great. Dundee United though, more important things to worry about now. AA Ghent in the Europa League qualifier. And this is a massive game for us. It really is going to make a difference. If we can get into the Europa League group stages, it's the bigger money, the bigger coefficient ranking, and the bigger reputation competition in Europe, which helps for future signings. So let's go and see how we get on, shall we? We've got loads of instructions to close people down. We know all about the Georgian number 10. And we've got to make the one change that we made at the weekend back. So Mallon goes out, McCann comes in. And then that means onto the bench will be Glenn Ray today. I think, though, we've got a pretty good squad for this one. I'm just thinking if we want to do anything else in the middle. Because O'Reilly's had a couple of poor games. We could bring Holsgrove in, for example. But I think in Europe, we have to stick with the best squad. And this is our 11. So the only change is Robertson comes back in for the injured Mallon. He comes up alongside McCann. They switch sides as well. And we're into the second leg of the Europa League playoff. With 3-2 up on aggregate with 3 away goals. And it would be pretty much a disaster if we threw it away from here. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to be in double figures on a busy Tuesday evening. Thank you all for your support as always. A quick thank you to Greenie earlier for the live chat as well. And for the donation. It does make an incredible difference. And thank you to all the regulars for making it active as always. I hope you're all well. I hope your week's okay. I said a bit earlier on, I've been recording today as my day off most of the videos for the rest of the week. We've ended up with the transfer specials coming at the same time because of where we are in the series. But it's been a wonderful week. It's been really enjoyable. So I think the videos are going to be entertaining, I hope. I haven't edited them yet, so they could be disasters to find. It's been a very quiet 10 minutes to start this game. Probably not a bad thing in truth, because Ghent are going to need 2 goals here. If they're 1-0 up, we go through on away goals. If it's 0-0, we throw on aggregate. So we're quite happy with it as it is. We're not going to force anything, but it is a Ghent corner here. Mengi hoofs it away from the front post to Shankland. Back to O'Reilly. He's got a runner on the left. I presume it's Mccrory. Shankland's up with O'Reilly though. He's going alone here into the box and cuts it back to the edge. Shankland's in there. It's blocked away. And the second one ricochets off Dembele. It's out for a goal kick. But unfortunately, no extra chances and no goal from a good chance at the start of the match. Wasn't the best sentence, that one. As Brookings got a throw on the right-hand side to O'Reilly. Dembele picks it up just above halfway. Gets towards the byline. Sliding challenge is beaten. Brooking crosses. Shankland loses out in the air. Mace brings it away. It's back to Hallsager, who scored that second goal in the first leg in Belgium. And they're playing out along the back. They're a good football inside Ghent. They've got some quality players. But they've gone route one here. Oh, Siegrist, what are you doing? He's gone miles out. And that is classic Siegrist. It's a shame Jacob isn't in because he would be having a field day here. But what on earth is he doing? He went flying out down the right wing. He was never getting there. From the moment he left his goal line, he was never getting there. And Benji Siegrist, the constant disappointment in this save. And I might actually take him off. I might substitute him at half-time to get the point across. The Georgian wonder kid puts it in. Nakamba heads in as well. And now it's 2. And now we do have a problem. Because as it stands, we've thrown away a 3-2 lead from the away leg. And Siegrist has set the tone for the night again. Speechless. Absolutely speechless. Benjamin Siegrist. Unbelievable. Absolutely incredible. Thank you to everyone popping in and the extra thumbs up as well. Just 2 away from double figures. So please do chuck one on if you haven't already. I need it to cheer me up after this Siegrist situation. Again, 2 shots on target, 2 goals. And the first one was an open goal due to Benjamin Siegrist. I'm taking him off. Xander Clark comes in. And if he does well, it's his job for the season. Because that is astonishing. Let's look at the positive though. If we score 1 goal, we're still throwing away goals. As McCann delivers it to the back stick. Mitchell picks it up just outside the box. Beats his man, gets to the byline. Into Chris Mccrory. And we are back on it and away goals. We're back on terms in the tie. 4-4 on aggregate. And 1 extra away goal for Dundee United. A big moment in this tie, to be honest. I was going to say on the night, in this game, but in this tie. And Chris Mockery's the man to get it. But straight back on the attack come Ghent. De Vos picks it up in the centre-half role. Switches it, which Brooking heads away. Straight to the left-back, though. It's a little bit too easy for them to play here. Nakamba finds Ordor. The 2 goal scorers linking up. Nakamba goes back into the Georgian player. The quality number 10 skins 2. Gets it wide to the goal scorer from the first leg. It's back to the Georgian player and they're keeping it well. They're teasing us. They're waiting for the right moment. But we have forced them back with a high press. Excellent work. Brooking intercepts the long ball. Dembele beats the challenge. This is a real chance. Dembele gets into the box. 1-on-1 and he just took too long. If he could finish, he would be a top-class player. But he can't. And that's why he's at Dundee United rather than a top Premier League side. As Mitchell plays a 1-2 with Matt O'Reilly. Out to the left side to Mitchell. We are coming back into this game. Robertson's 1-2 with the left winger. Chance to cross. Up towards Brook in the right back. Oh, he's hit the crossbar. It was a great opportunity. Oh, I just wonder if we're going to concede that extra goal. Mark, good evening. I've joined at a terrible time. When you substitute your goalkeeper at half-time, you know it is not an evening worth enjoying, is it? But as it stands, we're just about sneaking through. Benjamin Siegrist will not start. And at 10 o'clock when we get back, we've got an hour to sell him. But Baxter's gone as well, which leaves us with 1 keeper. Oh, dear. Shankland's been awful, so I'm going to bring Darren Watson on. And then Mockery's nervous. He scored the goal, but he's actually rated the worst of the 3 attacking midfielders. So Mikey Johnston is on. Scored his first goal for the club at the weekend. And a great chance for him again today. As Tyrick Mitchell plays from the left-back area to Johnston. 1-2 with the left-back. Can we get the ball in and get that second? O'Reilly's header's in. He's done it again. 2 bad games, but he's been brilliant so far this season. It's his 5th of the campaign. He's the top scorer. And now if Ghent score 1, it's extra time. They need 2 to get through. Big moment for us. I've got to say as well, and I don't want to kibosh it, and Mark, you might have joined at the right time to be a good luck charm. Xander Clark looks really solid in goal. And now Ghent are attacking, and I might regret saying it, but he might be securing the number 1 shirt tonight. As the left back gets towards the byline, cuts it back to Deprez. Into the box, Mays loses out in the air. Finley working well at the back. O'Reilly brings it away. Sliding challenge from Nakamba. And they've won it back again. Ghent just not letting us out. They're harrying us, they're pressing high, and they're pushing men forward all the time. They get to the byline again. The delivery's in. And the keeper did enough. He closed the angle and he's forced the shot wide. We're going to drop to a balanced mentality. As it stands, this is perfectly enough. 2 minutes plus stoppage time to go. There's 3 minutes added on. I was about to do the time wasting. And now we've got a highlight. Which means I'm going to have to see it out. You know my superstition. The throw-in is headed away as far as Ali McCann. To Dembele. Turns. Oh, that is class. That is class from Dembele. He can't finish when he's got time to think about it. When he's one-on-one. When he requires composure. But he has just scored the thunderbolt that puts us in the Europa League group stages. And Dundee United come back to win 3-2 on the night, 6-4 on aggregate. And Zander Clark, welcome to the new number one. Benji Siegrist, absolutely appalling. And he is relegated to backup keeper. Mark, he spotted it. Brilliant. Enjoying your dodge of the left back. I'd done 180 minutes and no one had commented. And you spotted it straight away. I think I did it very professionally, if I may say so myself. And thankfully, we've knocked them out. So unless we go out of the Europa League groups, we shouldn't have to play them again. But thank you for spotting my brilliantly professional left back every time he gets it, while mentioning all the other names. So Baxter's gone to West Ham for 50 grand. And now I'm wishing I hadn't sold him, because I've got basically an hour to get rid of Siegrist. But he's going to have to stay and just be the backup keeper for now. Because Zander Clark, after coming on and being that solid, is going to be the number one. Duffy and Burnett looks like are just going to be excess players this year. Doesn't really matter because they're injured half the time. 255 grand for winning a playoff. And we're into the group stages. What we're going to very quickly do before the final game against Celtic this weekend and the international break, because it looks like a very quiet deadline day, bar the Paul Smith loan edition, is I just want to have a look at how the other Scottish sides have got on and what they're going to be playing in. So in the Europa Conference, we should have had 2 Scottish sides. So let's go to the league path, the 4th qualifier. Hibernian are through. They've beaten Young Boys of Switzerland. Are there any other Scottish sides there? I can't see one unless I'm going insane. So does that mean one of them's been knocked out? I can't even remember what other side got in there. Motherwell. Out to Wolfsberger, 4-1 on aggregate. So a shocking display from them, really. Their key player, actually. Good young striker. And then let's have a look at the Champions League to see how Rangers and Celtic have got on. In fact, we'll just look at them individually because we know who we're looking for. So Celtic, who are our opponents at the weekend, they're straight into the Champions League because they won their league game. And they've got Trabzonspor in the group. So in theory, they should, after Liverpool and Inter, be able to sneak 3rd place. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Just one thumbs up off double figures. So if you haven't yet, please do chuck one on there. A quick thank you again to Greenie for the donation. It does make a difference. And thank you all for being involved in the chat and for coming and spending your evening with me as always. It does make a difference and it will always be appreciated. I hope you enjoyed today's Bangor City episode as well. The final game of the season against the rivals and 2 transfer specials to follow in the next few days. Let's have a quick look at Rangers then, because they will have been in the qualifiers. And we'll see where they've got to. So they beat Basel and they beat AZ Alkmaar on penalties to get into the Champions League group stages. And again, yes, they've got City and Porto, but then they've got the Greek side as well, PAOK. And might be able to sneak 3rd. And as long as they're in the Europa League after Christmas, they keep that coefficient building for Scotland, which is all the important at the moment. So I think in terms of the European run, bar Motherwell letting us down, that's all gone just about as well as it could have done. We've got 2.6 million for getting into the Europa League groups. Were there any big deals on deadline day? It didn't look like there were going to be any, and there weren't in the end. So our loan deal, St Mirren selling Jake Doyle-Hayes to Reading. A part exchange deal between Hamilton and Hearts for Callum Flatman, who's a young centre-half. Probably not as good as the player that was switched back, ironically. And we're in that sort of weird save now, aren't we? Where Hamilton were one of the best sides in Scotland in the 2nd season. So for the Scottish Premiership, I think we've already put Smith in. We have. So we're going to be relying on youngsters a bit. We've already seen in the League Cup tie that Ray Milligan got goals. He got 1 on his first day there. He got 1 in the SPFL Trust Trophy for the under-23s. So he's going to be a prospect. Stephen Dunn at left back, a decent player too. So we're quite happy with where the squad is. Just a shame we couldn't have sold one of those wingers. John, Lee Bowyer has gone to Birmingham. So it's been confirmed. Andrew Whitlock, when's the group draw? Should be today in game. So should be in the next few minutes. Let's have a look at Birmingham. Because they hadn't announced the Karanka one. It's astonishing. I mean, we mentioned it in a podcast. Talk about poor management. So they have confirmed him. But had they actually made an announcement to say that Siegrist was going? Not Siegrist, Karanka. So they only announced Karanka 33 minutes ago. That's absolutely astonishing when it's been done for 2 days. Oh dear. It really is quite astonishing. I like Lee Bowyer, and he's worked at clubs that are poorly managed off the pitch, but it's a very strange situation, isn't it? And he's just going into another mess. But the fans will give him time because he's obviously was a hero in that League Cup final team. Andrew, thank you for popping in as well. I wonder if we'll have to do another podcast on Bowyer joining. He is the man we predicted. And the rest of the news is the same. So I think we might get away with it this time. We're still waiting for Pompey though. And obviously Charlton have got to appoint someone now. But I think it will probably be Johnny Jackson for the short term. So let's skip ahead to the draw. There was one other thing actually I forgot to show you. We have got a real chance of winning a trophy this year. Because we're in the League Cup quarter-final against Ayr. Which is a winnable tie, I'd say. But look at that quarter-final draw. No Celtic, no Rangers. Because, remarkably, in the second round, Rangers lost 1-0 at Hamilton after extra time. And Celtic lost at home to Dunfermline. I'm going to go into the game just to see if we can see what the Celtic 11 was like. I mean, there were quite a few changes, but there's half the first team there. Sobel's the left back. Bednarek is first choice. Christie's first choice. Emre and Catrone are. So it's about half and half. But Dunfermline dumped them out. So, considering how we played against them, I wouldn't say they were the sternest opposition. But in terms of winning the trophy that we got in Season 1, it's our best opportunity we'll ever have. We've got to try and make the most of it. But that's all fun for the future, and I'm sure that will ruin next stream. If we throw it away now, they're the sort of ones where you think, I'm going to be really annoyed. It's going to hold against it, because we've got to get past them while we can. And when we've got an opportunity without Celtic and Rangers, we've got to win those competitions. We've got to boost the club reputation. The Ghent game was record gate receipts. That's excellent to see. Mccrory's the top target. We all know that. We just can't afford him or don't want to spend all of our money on him. And his wage demands have gone up now as well. Morgan Boys is developing. O'Reilly deservedly wins Player of the Month. He was brilliant. Weston gets young player. Brookins up there though. I think we made the right decision with him over Matheson. I really think that's proven to be the right one. And fingers crossed, we can do really well today. We're seeded 4th for the Europa League draw, so that probably doesn't bode that well. And I guess we've only really had 2 years in Europe, so there's still 3 seasons of next to no coefficient. And that's going to be the unfortunate thing for a while, I guess. But then the Celtic game's a big one for us. It's whether we can compete with the top 2 this year. And based on the summers they've had, even though they're the champions, I think Celtic are the most likely ones for us to catch. So let's have a look at the draw. Let's pick through the top 3 very quickly. I don't think there's anyone else in this draw that we need to, or we can't be drawn with. Just looking from England. Arsenal, Leicester and Bournemouth. That's interesting. Bournemouth always seem to recover pretty well in these saves. So I'm just looking at those groups there. And thinking, if we get Group E, I'd fancy us to finish ahead of Astana. I don't fancy Group A. I don't fancy Group B. Group D, perhaps Molde. Group C, perhaps... Group C, perhaps Anderlecht and Copenhagen. Group G, 2 very strong sides, but then the Hungarians, Ferencváros. I think we'd beat them. But Group A and Group F, and probably Group B, look absolutely awful. So let's see. I'm sure we'll get in one of them. We've avoided Group A. We've avoided Group B. We're not in C. We're in Group D. So... Olympique Lyonnais are going to be the favourites. They're a very good side with top-class players. Look at that. I know he's old now, but they've got Sergio Aguero. They've got Victor Lindelof. They've got Lucas Paqueta, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Hugo Lloris, Thomas Lemar, Lucas Torreira. Jeff Rennie Adelaide always becomes a great player. There is some real quality in that side. Besiktas, bit of a mixed bag, but some very good players. So Aaron Cresswell now at 33. Adam Laic we know is a superstar. But they've also got some at peak age as well. So Tokos, Turkish international. Croatian international Moro. Yalcin looks a good attacking player. And Tyler Boyd, the American winger. Vincent Abubakar, he's a quality player as well. So that will be a tough test. And then Mulder, their best youngster, Stian Blomso, isn't great. And aside from that, they've got a fully greyed out team, I think. Bar a few youngsters in the under-18s, who are rated pretty well. You've got to give them that. In terms of the greyed out players, I would say they're a similar standard to ours. Goalkeeper's not as good, striker might be slightly better, and the defenders probably pretty similar. So I think it has to be an essential achievement that we finish above Mulder in third place. I think that has to be the requirement. Make sure we're in Europe after Christmas. Hopefully you guys agree, but it could have been a worse draw. We have to accept that. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to still be in double figures. The Celtic game will be the last one before we wrap up ahead of the Luton kickoff at 7 o'clock. But yeah, it looks like Mulder are the side to beat and get into third place. Make sure we're in Europe after Christmas, whether it's Champions League or whether it's Europa League or Europa Conference, sorry. But not the worst draw in the world. Thank you to everyone coming in. We're one thumbs up off double figures, so please do chuck one on if you haven't yet. Thank you all for your incredible support. Thank you for being involved in the chat. And thank you to Greenie again for his donation. It all makes a massive difference. Third one on the channel. And it's all greatly appreciated. Ray Milligan, the best player in training every week. So it's not going to be long before he's starring for the first team. More than in the League Cup anyway. We've got to think about prioritising that now. It's a chance to win a trophy. We've got Paul Smith, who we can register for the Europa League group stage, wherever he is. He's unavailable. Why is he unavailable? There we go. Paul Smith's added in there. And let's get ahead to the final game against Celtic. There we go then. So it's all looking quite good at the moment. We'll get through the pre-match press conference. But this is the real test, isn't it? We've beaten Dunfermline away pretty solidly, a mid-table side. We battered the bottom two in League and Cup. But if we lose this one, we'll know that third's our ceiling again, quite frankly. So the Europa League draw, probably third's our ceiling in that as well. But then at least if we know that after the Celtic game, we can go on the League Cup tie. We can throw ourselves at it. Charlie, sorry I'm late. Tom Ince on the bench again. He's surprised by that. Not really. Because I think the performance was very good at the weekends. But he will get some games. He will play in some of the away games in particular. But at home, in those sorts of games, what I'm surprised by is that he didn't come off the bench against Swansea. But you never know what's going on, do you? Loa was picked ahead of him for the bench. So, interesting. But thank you for popping in, Charlie. It's much appreciated. Of course, we have got the breaking news that Lee Bowyer has now gone to Birmingham. And the Aitor Karanka thing finally got announced just before it. And we wait to see who Charlton and Pompey appoint so we can do more podcast specials. But thank you everyone for your support on the Birmingham one. And thank you for your support on the podcast predictions as always. They're absolutely flying. And we can't thank you enough for it. Are you surprised he's left Stoke to sit on the bench though? Perhaps. But I don't know really. I don't see the difference to him. I think he's got more chance of game time at Luton, but equally you've got to earn it. Adebayo's come in from League 2 and he's hit the ground running and he's worked his backside off. And, you know, you have to be brutal, don't you, sometimes in the industry? I do worry about it as a deal, but Nathan Jones has never really used those types of players, which is why I found it a strange deal to start with. Like, he never really utilised Loa that much. The only time Loa was a star for the team is when McArthur was in charge for that half a season. He's always played with the more sort of naturally central players. Like, he used to put James Justin into the midfield diamond before putting a midfielder in there. And he would always play central players. The Berries, the Shinnies, the Pelly Ruddocks, the Glen Rays, the Tunnicliffs now. And he seems to want those hard workers, the likes of Jordan Clark now as well. So, it's a bit of a weird one, because the way he's playing with either a back three or with a narrow diamond, it was never going to fit Tom Ince's style. So I guess to that extent I'm surprised. But I'm not surprised that he's not starting now he's here, given the way that Adebayo started and the way that the games are panning out. But we will still see him later in the season at points. Final game today is against Celtic, of course. It's going to be an absolutely massive one. And it's a real opportunity for us. Thank you for getting the thumbs up into double figures. It does make a big difference. Thank you all for your incredible support as always. It's lovely to see so many of you in the comments of videos. It's been really active this year. And it's been something I've enjoyed incredibly. And thank you again for the feedback on Sunday, for the tactical special episode. It's something I've never done before. And the feedback's been really nice. I've got another one planned for this Sunday looking at match analysis too. So I'm hoping that will be useful as well. But here comes the problem. Everyone's got a heavy match load. Everyone is shattered. And although I could play them all because there's a 2-week break after, I don't want to break them this early in the season. So against my better judgment, we're going to rest everyone. Zander Clark is the new number 1. In defence, we're going to go for the backups, which is Dehaney, Nielsen, Kurt and Boys. In midfield, it's Glenn Ray alongside... It would be Mallon. It might be McCann. Holsgrove as the number 10. And then up front... I mean, Holsgrove might play in the middle, actually. And then we could push up, say, a Jack Byrne as the number 10. Mikey Johnston off the left against his former club. Paul Smith off the right on debut. Can play out there pretty naturally, in my opinion. Darren Watson's going to be up front. And then it's just whether we play a first teamer like Ali McCann or whether we push Holsgrove back and then put Byrne in as the number 10, which I think is what we're going to do on this occasion, just to make sure we rest everybody. So in terms of the bench, we're going to get some of the youngsters on as well. So Stephen Dunn, Ray Milligan, Duffy's obviously a backup now, he can be involved. And then 4 of the first teamers, so Ali McCann in midfield, Mccrory and Shankland as attacking options, and perhaps Brooking as a defensive one. So a backup side enforced due to the fatigue. Paul Smith will make his first appearance for the club since joining on loan from Hibs. And can our backup team compete with Celtic? That's going to be the real test now. Oh, lovely stuff, Charlie. Football vocab question. Do you say centre-back or centre-half? See, when I'm recording these videos and I'm doing like the starting lineup in the video series, I always end up saying centre-back. But centre-half is always the way I've talked. I don't know why. I guess we all grew up as centre-halves. Maybe it's just because that's what our coaches said or whatever as we were growing up. But yeah, for me, I traditionally normally end up going for centre-half. I would say when I was younger, though, I used to say centre-back. So it must have been coaches as I was growing up. But yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. I don't actually know technically what they intend the difference to be, rather than the ball playing stuff. But centre-back, centre-half-wise, that doesn't make a massive difference, does it? And into the first half, I tell you what, it's been a really quiet 20 minutes, and I'm delighted with that. If we can make this 0-0, I'll be a very happy man. As Byrne gets the ball to Johnston on the left. Finds Boys. He's coming down the wing. Into the box towards Watson, who loses out. And it's Jan Bednarek, a hero from our current head coach series, who's doing the business against us at the other end. The fullback there, Dehaney, brilliant covering. Finds Nielsen at centre-half. What I'd really love here, whether it's a winner or an equaliser, is Mikey Johnston to score the important goal against his former club. I feel he will become a very good player once he's settled in. As Byrne goes back to Ray, into Smith. 2 or 3 options in the middle, back to Nielsen. Long ball forward towards Bednarek, who heads away. And Christie finds Hendricks. Through ball to Helder Costa. Scored lots of goals already this season. And Zander Clark stops him scoring another. Boys brings it away, clears it to Smith on the right. And we get away with it. But a strong bit of goalkeeping. And Benji Siegrist has to stay on the bench, I'm afraid. As Nakajima takes the corner for Celtic. To the back post. Tanganga heads just wide. Another brilliant player at Celtic. They've got 2 great centre-halves in fairness. But the rest of the team, not quite as good as Rangers. As Nakajima puts the free kick in again. Nielsen heads away as far as Emre. Chance to go down the right, but instead forced backwards. And it's out to Tanganga, who was making his way back. We'll catch up with the chat in a moment, once we've seen this highlight out. As Gendricks crosses it, Dehaney clears. And Watson brings it down. Lovely touch. Darren Watson challenge, though. Tanganga back at him in an instant. It's a really long highlight, which suggests to me there's going to be a very good chance at the end of it. It's the usual FM superstition there. As Byrne comes through the middle. Through ball to Watson. He might be offside. He is offside. He slides it away beautifully. But it remains 0-0. The assistant had his flag up instantly. And unfortunately, we don't take the lead. But a real good effort from our backup side here. And we're competing with the best. We can't argue. Charlie, next one. Attacking mid, in the hole or free roll. Number 10 for me normally. I just refer to it as the number 10. I mean, I've say it 100 times per episode here. So definitely number 10, I would say. If it's in terms of position, I'd normally say the attacking mids, the attacking midfield 3 as it is here, or... No, I don't think I'd ever say in the hole or the free roll. I've definitely never said. Celtic have had their own goal disallowed for offside there. But yeah, I think I would always say number 10. Or behind the striker. I quite often say behind the striker. The playmaker. But that will depend on the position. But I'd say normally number 10. And if anything else, I'd describe them as behind the striker rather than in the free roll. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Because I'd reckon there's probably 5 or 6 different announcements for that. Well, it's done 6 or 7 different ways by different people. It probably depends on region of the country and which country you're from as well. As Kerr picks the ball up at centre half to Zander Clark. Plays a 1-2 out from the back. Nielsen, the youngster's had a good game actually. He's starting to develop quite nicely. So I hope that continues as well. As Sobel plays out from the back to Christie. Oh, lovely ball to Helder Costa. Dehaney's been caught there. He gets back with a great sliding tackle though. You've got to give him it. And Costa's forced backwards to Sobel. Here's McGregor 30 yards out. Goes left again. Dehaney's caught out again. But we just about survive it. Celtic have definitely had the better of this game. We're going to drop to a balanced mentality. But if we can hold on for 0-0, still a good result. Dehaney throws into Paul Smith. On debut, the cross is blocked and Emre can bring it away. Great challenge from Holsgrove though. Not natural in that deep role, but really did a job for us. Mikey Johnston on the left. Back to Holsgrove again. 2 up with him. Gives it to Glenn Ray. Oh, I thought he was going to lose it there. Did really well to pivot and get the ball out to Dehaney. Beats the fullback. Dehaney into the box. Sobol clears away. The little glitch made me think it might be a penalty. But unfortunately, it's cleared out downfield. Boys picks it up again though, with Pin Celtic in here. Holsgrove into the box. Brought down by Hendricks. That one's a penalty. Who's going to take it? Paul Smith, the new signing, is the best penalty taker at the football club. Holsgrove, not far behind him. But we're going to go for the main man. Let's have a look at who takes it. Jacob, I can see you've just joined in. You have missed. Oh no. Smith's missed the penalty. And you have missed what would have been your favourite moment of this series so far. Siegrist in the Europa League playoff round, which is the question you've asked. We were 3-2 up after the away leg. And at home, we went 2-0 down. Or 2-1 down, sorry. I can't remember what the score was now. 2-0 down due to Benjamin Siegrist. He came flying out 30 yards on the right wing. No idea why. And the striker tapped into an empty net. So Benjamin Siegrist got subbed at half time. And Zander Clark has been our number 1 ever since. But we did get through in the end. We came back into the tie. And Benjamin Siegrist is out of the first team. As we get to the Europa League. Paul Smith still got the best performance on the pitch. So did Jack Byrne take it maybe? I was sure it was Smith who took it. He's absolutely knackered now as well. But I'm going to leave him on. I'm going to take Johnston off for Michael Duffy. I might regret this. I'm going to take Watson off for young Milligan, who's only 15, I think. He is. What an occasion for him. And Ray is going to be taken off for Ali McCann. So a slight strengthening in central midfield and then some young, exuberant attacking players on. And it's the final chance. Benjamin Siegrist assisting the opposition. It wasn't even formally an assist. He literally just ran towards the touchline and just left the ball. And the striker ran past and tapped it in. It was such a shame. I would encourage you after to go back just to check that one out in that game. In the second leg of the knockout. Because it'll tickle you. I'm sure of it. Having said that, we've just drawn 0-0 against Celtic with a fully rotated side. And the only reason we didn't win it is because we missed a penalty. Despite that, Paul Smith is one of the best players on the pitch. And after 4 games in the league, we're on 10 points and ahead of Celtic on goal difference. Rangers are going to come back and win the title this year. They've had a great summer. Matt O'Reilly's in the form of his life. We've won the League Cup second round. We're in the quarterfinals and Rangers and Celtic are both out. It's a real trophy chance for us. We're now the favourites. And we've got through to the Europa League group stage. And with Mulder being one of the sides, we should definitely get to Europe after Christmas, even in the conference. Siegrist wants to be a striker, but he's not a very good one. Because if he had been a striker, he would have at least made contact with the ball. But as it is, despite that late disappointment with the penalty, I don't think we can have any complaints. Thank you to everyone that's come in for the end. There's a full replay available afterwards. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. I'm just having a look at the schedule to see when we're going to be back. I think what we're going to do is we'll play Motherwell off camera. I'll probably play Mulder at home off camera as well, because I think that's going to be the banker of the group. And then we'll come back from Aberdeen onwards, because Aberdeen and Hibs are two really tough games. Away from home, they're the sides that finished sort of in the top 6 last year. Ayr United away from home in a League Cup quarter-final, which has now become our priority, because that's our best chance to win a trophy. And then Lyon away in the Europa League. So that's the 4 games for Saturday morning. We might chuck in Livingston as well if we get time. In fact, there we go. It's a 5-game episode on Saturday morning in stream. And all 5 games are on the road. No home matches. It's going to be an interesting one. Jacob, Siegrist isn't a good goalkeeper either. That is a very correct way of putting it. He is not a good goalkeeper. But he's been a servant for us. We've sold Baxter now, so he's got to be our number 2. But definitely, Xander Clark, the safe pair of hands for the rest of this season. Unless he does something awful as well. But a massive thank you to everyone coming in. A thank you to everyone that's been involved in the chat. For all the thumbs up, for all the support as always. A special thank you to Greenie for the donation. It does make a massive difference. And of course, you've been incredible as always. Please do check out today's Bangor City episode. If you haven't seen the tactical special from Sunday yet, something a little bit different. So let me know what you thought of that. And look forward to the rest of the content for the week, because we've got 2 transfer specials, a big episode in the head coach tomorrow. It's drama all the way, and I'm absolutely loving it. So thank you as always for your incredible support, and I'll see you live on Saturday morning. Thank you as always, and I'll see you there.